Terry said, F them picks. Let's go get us a safety.
You are Locked On Falcons, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to another illustrious episode of the Locked On Falcons podcast, your daily Atlanta Falcons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. We're going to help you find the qualified candidates that you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. So if you don't know me, guys, I am your very humble host, Aaron Freeman, a.k.a. Mr. Drew, a.k.a. Sirius Black, a.k.a. Mr. a.k.a. And I've been covering the Atlanta Falcons for almost 2 decades. That is 2 decades, 19 years. Formerly at FalconsFans.com, RIP, still going strong on this illustrious podcast. And I thank each and every one of you that goes strong with me as everydayers, that goes and mires through all the negativity and all the hatred. But you come back every single day because you know Aaron's going to tell me the truth about this Atlanta Falcons football team. And we appreciate each and every one of you everydayers that makes this podcast your first listen each and every day. And all you got to do to become an everydayer is subscribe or follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. So we're going to talk about what's in store for the Falcons on day 3. It's going to be a pretty long day, 2 picks, but we'll see what the Falcons do with those 2 picks. And we'll talk about how I'm coming around on Jalon Walker, right? But we got to talk about Trader Terry, right? I had the feeling, guys, going into today with the Falcons having the second to last pick 101 on the 3rd round out of 102 picks in going through the end of the 3rd round, that we would get all the way to the Falcons pick and they would trade back, right? And I'd be like, well, that was a waste of a whole night, right? And no, but Terry was like, nah, Aaron, I got you, my guy. We're trading up. The Falcons traded up from 101 to 96, going up 5 spots, giving away a 2026 5th round pick. Terry's like, F them picks. Right? What's the Magic Johnson meme? I'm not going to be here, right? It's like, I don't care about no 2026 picks. I ain't going to be here. We're going all in, baby, on this year to get Xavier Watts, the safety out of Notre Dame. Now, I'll admit, guys, I have not watched really much film at all of Xavier Watts. I've seen like some highlight reels of him. That's really it. So what you're going to hear on today's episode is me basing it purely off of what I've read about Xavier Watts. Right, he was a player that I figured the Falcons would be interested. I think we did our 7-round draft board and we had him as like a round 2 sort of safety, if I'm mistaken. And, you know, the Falcons getting him in round 3 at the end of round 3 instead of round 2, you know, that's value. But, you know, all my opinions are based off of film. We'll talk about that more later in today's episode. So I just want to give you that caveat. Like, these are just sort of what my expectations are based off of what I've read about Xavier Watts before I've actually dived into the film. But he's a ball hawking safety, opportunistic player, 13 interceptions the last 2 seasons combined, which is the most in college football during that span, right? The most interception yards off of those interceptions, I think 273 with a touchdown or 2, if I'm not mistaken, right? 27 pass breakups during that span, high character, 2-time team captain, right? The Falcons are getting, you know, some might even say Jesse Bates Jr., right? Our favorite non-monogamous safety, right? He's a cheater. All right. And I think Xavier Watts makes a lot of sense for the Falcons. Part of the reason why I identified him as a player that I think the Falcons might be interested in, because he allows our non-monogamous safety. We don't believe in doing our assignment. Right? Jesse Bates, I'm going to do something else. I'm the defensive coordinator. Whatever I do is the right answer, and everybody else has to get on my page. That's the way that Jesse Bates plays. We love it here on Locked On Falcons. No notes, Jesse. It's only burned us 1 time in that Washington game. Every other time, it has worked perfectly for the Atlanta Falcons. No notes. And Xavier Watts is going to help Jesse Bates stay off the reservation, be out at 3 a.m., doing his own thing, right? He's going to cover. Jesse's girl's going to call Xavier. Where's Jesse at? Xavier's going to be like, oh, he was with me the whole night. Right? That's what Xavier Watts is here to do. He's going to be that deep ball hawking safety. And, you know, maybe a little bit of Jesse Bates' non-monogamy is going to rub off on Xavier. He might step out on his girl. But no, at least initially, he's going to be loyal. That's what we talked about last year. That's what Justin Simmons was supposed to do. The difference was Justin Simmons, outside of like 2 games, didn't make the plays on the ball that we needed him to make in that role. And so I look at some of the breakdowns of some of the profiles of Xavier Watts. I look at PFF's draft guide. They have 10 out of 10 anticipation, 10 out of 10 ball skills listed for Xavier Watts. I like to see that, right? So when Jesse's doing his cheating, Xavier can sort of cover his mistakes. That's what we're talking about, guys. And that's a good thing that the Falcons need, because they needed a third safety, right? They signed Jordan Fuller in the offseason. Jordan Fuller is better box safety than a coverage guy, just because he's not the fastest guy in the world, and sometimes he can get caught out of phase in coverage running that 4.65. Now, Xavier Watts is not that much faster running a 4.58. That's about average safety speed, according, to mock draftable, right? But the hope is that Xavier Watts can make up for that lack of speed with elite instincts, that 10 out of 10 anticipation and ball skills and whatnot. Now, again, that athleticism is limited. It's about average for a safety. Speed, some of these jumps and whatnot. Now, PFF questioned the tackler and gave him a 3 out of 10 in terms of their tackling grade. I saw some other profile from him, Bleacher Report, that basically called him a run defending safety. So that was interesting. And then I had to go check like a fourth profile, because I was looking at The Athletic, I was looking at PFF, I was looking at Bleacher Report's breakdown of him. Then I had to go to NFL.com with Lance Zierner's breakdown. I'm like, okay, who's going to break this tie? Well, not really a tie, but I got two profiles saying he's a coverage guy, and then one saying he's a box safety. So Lance Zierlein broke the tie, and he's a coverage guy. So I was like, okay, we'll see. We'll see what the Bleacher Report profile, what that was all about. But the Falcons need a third safety, right? They signed Jordan Fuller. They have DeMarco Hellams, right? He's more of a box safety as well. But they needed a coverage guy. They needed someone on the back end that can, let Jesse be Jesse, because we don't want Jesse to have to park himself 25 yards down the field. Again, he can be a playmaker back there, but that's not what we want. We want Jesse stepping out at night. We want Jesse Bates running through the woods naked, running from, somebody's whatever, getting chased through the woods, because he's out stepping out where he's not supposed to be. Okay, if you're not following me, I know some of you guys who have not been around for the last 2 years on the podcast are like, what are you talking about? But that's what I'm talking about. So out of touch. But we needed somebody on the back end that could cover, Jesse's mistakes, Jesse's, cheating ways and whatnot. But, as I said, like that value, if the consensus seemed to be that a lot of people graded Xavier Watts more as a second round pick. So getting him around later makes a ton of sense and a lot of value. So, we can talk about the trade up, which we will. I don't like the Falcons giving away future picks, but Terry's going to be Terry. And so we'll talk about the good of the Falcons draft class now, because I'm starting to come around on Jalon Walker. I watched a little bit more film, and I'm like, okay, Jalon Walker, what's going on? Like, I got to go back a little bit further in the archives to get the good film. So we'll talk about that, as well as the bad of, Terry doing Terry stuff. So we'll get into all of that, guys, as we continue today's Locked On Falcons. So, guys, my mouse is messing up. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. Your business is always on your mind. And when it means time to hire, you need a partner that works as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn is going to make it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, get qualified candidates all in the same place. And when you post your job, LinkedIn is going to have a new feature that's going to help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job out in front of the right candidates with those deep candidate insights. And then there's a pro tip, right? Add the hashtag hiring to your frame to your profile picture, and you'll double the reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn's helping them find high quality hires. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. So let's talk about the Falcons trading up. Did they need to trade up? Probably not. This is why I'm the prophet, right? Everybody's going to sit here and say, like, who cares about 2026 draft picks? And then 9 months from now, people are going to be like, I care about 2026 draft picks. We're just doing it again, right? It's like, I'm not even mad about it. It's just like, we just do the same thing over and over again. And it's just like, this time it's going to work, right? We're just going to give away draft picks. We got in this predicament with limited draft picks because we traded away future draft picks because, we got this, right? But we, at least this time, last time we did it for veteran players. Now we're doing it for rookies. So it's like, I guess it's different this time. So, right. These picks aren't going to matter. Right. And so that goes back to what I was talking about yesterday, where it's like, they're doing the same thing. They double dipped at quarterback. They double dipped at edge this year. Right. And it was like, okay, you double dip at quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix. Right. You take 2 swings. Right. And it doubles the odds that you get a hit, right? If you get 2 swings rather than 1. But the problem with the quarterback position is you can only really get 1 hit because you can only really play 1 quarterback at a time. Now, at least with the double dip at edge, the 2 swings at edge, you can have both edges, Jalon Walker, James Pierce, on the field at the same time. So at least theoretically, it's like, okay, this is a little different because you can get, double the value in that. But, I told you guys yesterday I was not that high on Jalon Walker. I was probably I was talking to Kevin Knight of the Falcons today during their live show for day 2, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm probably the biggest Jalon Walker hater in the world. And I watched some film, right? I just didn't get the hype on Jalon Walker because it was like, frankly, like this guy's like universally held as a top 10 pick, and I'm just like, he's like a day 2 player. Like he's not a better prospect than Nolan Smith, and Nolan Smith was appropriately drafted like 30th overall. That was like where he was supposed to get drafted, and he's not as good as Nolan Smith. And I'm just like, this is like a 2nd round pick. But for some reason, everybody on the planet sees him as like a top 10 player, top 5 player, and I just never understood it. So I felt like the biggest Jalon Walker hater. But I watched some film today, guys. I went back and watched some 22 and 23 film. I watched the 22 game, the national championship game against Ohio State. I watched a 23 game against Florida. And I was impressed with Jalon Walker. I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see the vision. Like, oh, my vision. The vision of Jalon Walker, right? Because I actually started seeing some pass rush moves. And I'm just like thinking in my head, I was watching Jalon Walker use like a ghost move on a guy. And I'm just like, where was this in 24? All I saw was a long arm. And that was part of the reason why I was low on Jalon Walker, because it's like he had 1 move, a long arm, which is like, it's like the 5th move in your arsenal for an NFL pass rusher. And then he doesn't even have long arms to use that effectively at the next level. It's like 32-inch arms. Like a long arm is not going to work against NFL tackles who all have 33 and 34-inch arms. Some of them even have 35-inch arms. Like that move is going to be completely ineffective. So I was just like, I don't see what other people see with Jalon Walker as a pass rusher. But then I'm starting to see ghost moves and cross chops. And I'm just like, where were these moves in 24, Jalon? We could have been boys the whole time, Jalon, if you were doing this stuff. So I'm eager to dive more into the film and maybe that Jalon just kind of simplified things in 24 and wasn't using these array of pass rush moves. So I'm starting to see the vision. I'm starting to come around to Jalon Walker. So guys, I know you guys were mad at me because you're like, how dare Aaron not say positive things about the Falcons draft picks? But I always try to base my takes on film, right? That's basically what I'm saying. And I had a Locked On Falcons Insider basically say, like, Aaron, I thought, because I was basically telling Locked On Falcons Insiders, link in the description below if you want to join, they get these takes hours before you guys do. And I was saying this basically to them. And he was like, Aaron, I thought you were going to hate on Jalon Walker all summer long. And I was like, I don't hate on guys all summer long. I'm going to hate on a guy until I watch film that I like. That's basically what it is. I base all these takes, guys, off of watching film, right? So if you think I have a hot take and like everybody else is saying one thing and I'm saying another thing, it's because I've said the thing that I'm saying because I actually watched it on film. Everybody else is saying the other thing because they haven't watched the film. So that's how you can tell that thing. So if people disagree with me, it's just clearly they don't watch film. They're not grinding the tape like I have. So that's what I want to say. Now, I did watch some James Pierce film and it didn't really move me anyway on that one, but we'll see. We'll watch more film over the next couple of weeks and we'll get the final takeaways. But Jalon Walker is starting to grow on me. I'm like, okay, Jalon, like there's a little bit more arsenal in this bag. Like, where was this in 24? But maybe I have to go back and watch more of it in 22 and 23 to really get there. So we'll see what the film says with both of those guys, Jalon Walker and James Pierce. We'll see if the Falcons trade back on day 3, get some more picks, or is Terry just like, you know what? We don't need draft picks. We're just like 2 pass rushers and a safety and whatever the Falcons get on day 3 away from solving all of our problems. So let's talk about whatever those issues are that the Falcons might address on day 3 as we wrap up today's Locked On Falcons. So the NBA playoffs are here, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on that playoff action. Right now, when you join FanDuel, place your first $5 bet. You'll get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. And I love that FanDuel gives us so many ways to win with those first $5 bets, particularly with basketball in the playoffs, right? All the various player props, right? You can bet on 3-pointers, assists, steals, whatever you want. And when you combine all those live betting props into the same bet, you get that same game parlay. You bet a little, you win a lot, right? That's the thing we love. We just put a little dollars down and then you win a whole bunch of dollars, right? Who doesn't love that? And of course, not only NBA playoffs, FanDuel has it all. Major League Baseball, NFL futures. If you're feeling great about where this Falcons is going to do, then go bet that over on the Falcons win totals. So don't miss out and head on over to FanDuel.com to claim your $250 in bonus today. So it's day 3 of the draft coming up, and the Falcons have 2 draft picks. 4th round pick at pick 118, I believe. 7th round pick at pick 218. So they have 2 less picks than they had. Obviously, the other 7th round pick they gave up as part of the James Pierce trade. I really thought, again, as I said, I thought we see the Falcons trade back tonight, pick up 2 fourths, maybe try to pick up a 5th in order to get 2 fourths. Because, we sat here all offseason being like, they got a lot of holes they got to fill. And the Falcons are like, no, we don't. Nuh-uh. Corner? Who needs it? Tackle? Who needs it? Center? Who needs it? Right? Linebacker? Don't care. Right? Nose tackle? Doesn't matter, baby. Tight end? Don't want it. Wide receiver? Not gonna have it. So I'm eager to see what the Falcons do on day 3. Do they just sit there at the beginning of round 4, or middle of round 4, take somebody, and then just we wait 6 hours or whatever it is between that and round 7, and then they just take whoever that is? Or Terry's like, you know what? I still got like 5 picks next year. I can trade some of those. We could move up. I can't wait, guys. I just, I love what Terry's doing. Like this, this. Oh man, Terry, you're doing an incredible job, man. It's incredible. So it's one of those things. We'll see what the Falcons do. I'm curious to see what they prioritize, because we sat here and said they have 3 starters that they need to go into this draft and fill: edge, corner, nose tackle, plug and play starters. They've double dipped on edge. So we figure, looking at you, Jalon Walker, James, you're going to be a DPR. That's fine. It's good. Jalon, you're going to be the starter at edge. Where's that nose tackle coming from? We going to get that guy after the draft? Maybe. Locked On Falcons Discord was like, hey, this Foley Fatukasi's still out there. It's like, I guess we're going to sign Foley Fatukasi. Where's that swing tackle? Where's that starting center to push Ryan Uzel? Right? We're not even talking about that, with the offense. But you're going to get a corner, or we run it back with Clark Phillips and Mike Hughes and Kevin King and Keith Taylor and D. Alford, and we're going to be like, it's going to be different this time. Because like Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and all those guys, like, they're not going to cook up this secondary again. Like that, lightning doesn't strike in the same place twice, guys. So like, not even worried about that. So I'm eager to see how this team addresses. That's what I talked about yesterday. It's bold, place it. It's like they're very bold, and then at the same time they're very complacent, and it's just fascinating to see that dichotomy. So I'm eager to see what they do on day 3. Typically the time when you're adding depth, but now it's like, you got 1 pick more that you can use on a starter in the 4th round. Again, maybe you can get like a starting nose tackles, Nazir Stackhouse. We love us a Georgia 7th round pick. Maybe that you can count on that. So maybe you get the corner potentially in round 4, and then even the round 4 corners are probably not really starters. That's more, like a Clark Phillips type of player, like a Darren Hall type of player, more of a backup. So we'll see on that front. So I can't wait to see what Terry's strategy is going to be and what this team does post draft. And they're really just like, you know what? It's like Jeff Ober's he's gonna figure out, he's gonna fix it. And like again, I know you guys get mad at me when I say stuff like this, but I'm just like, I've heard that narrative so many times. You don't know how many defensive coordinators have come through Atlanta over the last like 8 years that someone was like, this guy's gonna fix it all. And I'm just like, man, it's about the Jimmies and Joes. It ain't about the X's and O's. But we got a bunch of young guys on the defense. Raheem coached up that 23 Rams defense to what? 22nd, 26th in the NFL, whatever it was. Hey, got a top 7 offense. Zach, Mike, you got us? Okay, you got us. Okay. So we're going to have that top 7 offense. We're going to have the 26th best defense or whatever, and it's going to work. So I see the vision, Terry. I see it. So I am very eager to see how the Falcons address their day 3 picks. Do we see a trade back in round 4 to try to accumulate some of these picks to get more throws of the dart at the dartboard? Or are they just content to just get that 4th round pick, whatever that is, 7th round pick, and we're good? So it's been a fascinating journey. This Falcons 2025 draft class. I'm enjoying it very much so. So I can't wait to see what the Falcons do. Incredible. Just incredible. Oh man, it's like 5 picks next year. When has that ever been a problem? 1st round pick? Who needs it? So I love it. Falcons, keep doing you. It's definitely going to work this time. So we'll see what the Falcons wind up doing. So eagerly anticipating that. Can't wait to dive into the film with Xavier Watts, see how he's going to help our favorite non-monogamous, I can't even talk anymore, guys. Non-monogamous safety, continue to step out on his girls, because it ain't just one. So we'll see what this draft class comes to store, and we'll see what the vision is for this Falcons defense. We'll see what moves are made post-draft, for the 11 UDFAs that, I think I've already heard Terry talk about we're going to be aggressive in undrafted free agency. So it's like, all right, man, spend more money in undrafted free agency than you did in veteran free agency. So looking forward to that. So it's a beautiful, beautiful world that the Falcons are living in. And I love it. I love it. I know you guys are like, I hate the sarcasm, Aaron. It's like, then what joy do you have in life, guys? Like what else? You can only laugh through the pain. That's basically what it has become with the 11. Like, I'm not even mad at the Falcons draft pick. I'm just like fascinated that this team continues to do the same things over and over again. It's going to work this time. And I'm just like, all right, I haven't heard this story 17,000 times over the last 17 years. So it's like, all right, we'll see. Look, but here's the difference, guys. Here's the difference. This is why it's going to be different, because we have the voice from the outer world. We have the Duke of Arrakis, the Lisan Al-Gaib, right? It's going to be different this time because Michael Penix is the quarterback of this football team. And I was disappointed when I saw the Cleveland Browns drafting, I don't know, the Marquess of Arrakis. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going too deep down the rabbit hole. But, Dylan Gabriel, that's basically what I was talking about. Because, we knew that the Browns were definitely going to trade for Kirk Cousins. And I had one person in the Locked On Falcons Discord who's been the one holdout. I was like, we're definitely getting a Kirk trade. And then when the Browns drafted Dylan Gabriel, he was like, oh, no. And it was funny. But, I was hoping there was a secret part of me that was pining for the Falcons to get Dylan Gabriel, because he was my QB1 in this year's draft class. I only say that half jokingly. I did like Dylan Gabriel. I've come completely around on left-handed quarterbacks. And he is purely a, elite processor and all that stuff, super accurate and all that stuff. And it's like, we got one left-handed quarterback. Why not make it 2, right? Again, it's the Terry Fontenot strategy. Double dip, 2 left-handed quarterbacks. It will be incredible. So I was a little disappointed when the Falcons were not able to land Dylan Gabriel. But we'll see what happens on day 3. Of course, we get to still talk about what's going to happen with Shedeur Sanders. It's just been a 3-day saga. It's been incredible. So we'll see what the Falcons do on day 3, guys. I'm definitely enjoying what this team is doing. I am enjoying looking at the film of these superstars. Jalon Walker got that dog in him. James Pierce. We'll see. James Pierce is a good player, but dog is not the word that would be used to describe how he plays football. So I'm eager to see what the more film of James Pierce as well as Xavier Watts, whoever the Falcons wind up landing on day 3. Might as well just trade all those picks next year, Terry. You ain't going to be here. So why? Who cares, right? So we'll see what the Falcons do on day 3. So, guys, I'm done vamping. I'm done padding out the end of this episode. I'm clearly delirious in terms of thinking about what this Falcons team is doing. You know, I've been sitting here all night waiting for the Falcons to do whatever they're going to do, and then to see them trade more 2026 assets. I'm just like, wow. Arthur Blake, what are we doing? I guess Arthur's like, I ain't gonna be here next year either. I don't know, man. Like, what's going on? Like, but we'll see how it all works out. I can't wait for the post-draft analysis. We'll have several guests on next week to give their thoughts on what they think of this Falcons draft haul, and can't wait to dive into the film. And you know, I'm just ready to pump Penix, guys. That's basically what I'm getting. Like, once we get through like the next couple of weeks of people coming on and saying what they like about the Falcons draft, what they don't like about the Falcons draft, then we get to what really matters all summer long, which is pumping Michael Penix. So that's what I'm looking forward to all summer long, because it's all we got. It's all we got. But at least we got a dog. Got one dog and that dog can hunt. So eagerly anticipating that. So that's it, guys. Continue to make Locked On Falcons your first listen by subscribing and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you check out Locked On NFL Draft as well as the other great shows, right? Go check out Locked On Saints. See how Ross Jackson is holding up with the Tyler Shuck era, right? That's about to begin an all new, you know, he's shucking Shuck, right? Like, you know, we're pumping Penix, he's shucking Shuck. It's all about that, you know? So go check that out. It's all part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every